You are joining me as I'm about to teach my youth spelling class. So these are students that come from all over the world. Usually they're about age 7 or 8 through about 12 or 13. These are the students that are going to be with me in my youth spelling class. I'm going to teach them live, and I'm inviting you to simply visit behind the scenes as I teach these wonderful kids. They are already in my waiting room. They are astounding. They're probably, they're already sending me some messages. They are so cute. So I'm going to just send them a quick answer. So I'm going to be focusing on my class here. For the next hour and a half, I'm going to have a youth spelling class, and then a hello, Mayra, and then an adult spelling class, and then a adult reading class. So I'm going to be focusing on them and just inviting you to just view behind the scenes. So let me answer these questions. These kids, they are so sweet. I just love teaching this class. They're all already there. They are early as always. And same with my adults. The adults that I teach are heroic in my eyes. So this one student right here, this one child, who does this? This one child just typed a message to me and he said, "I am happy I am here." A child is coming to spelling class, taking time away from his house, from whatever he was doing, and he just said, "I am happy I am here." This is why I love teaching this class. All right, it is time for me to start, so I'm going to focus on them now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to spelling class. I am so happy that you are here. Welcome and happy Monday. And if you are brand new, a special welcome to you. It's so nice to have you. And if you're coming back, thanks for staying with me. Thanks for coming back. And I hope you had a great weekend. I hope your day has been as great as you are. And I hope you're ready to learn some amazing things about spelling today. But first, we are going to warm up our ears, my friends. Hello, Benson. It's nice to see you. Sloan, so always happy to have you in class. So first we're going to warm up our ears so that we can hear what we're spelling. We can't spell until we can hear what we're spelling, right? So I want you to count how many sounds are in the word intersection. Can you please count how many sounds are in the word intersection? And then put that in the Q&A for me. How many sounds are in intersection? How many sounds are in intersection? All right, it's going to be a big number, isn't it? So we're getting 9s, 8s, 7s, 10s. Yeah. Anywhere from 7 to 10, basically, in the Q&A here. So let's figure out in intersection. I want you to make sure that you separate those two sounds, I and N. It's easy for our brain to lump those as one sound, but for spelling, we need to learn to separate those two sounds so that we can spell each one. So we have I, N, T, S, E, K, Sh, N. There are 10 sounds in intersection. I, N, T, S, E, K, Sh, N. 10 sounds. Here's how those sounds are spelled. So you'll see that everything is spelling exactly what you would expect. That ER is spelling the sound, which is a common spelling for the sound in its own syllable like that. You'll see that that TI is spelling the sh sound, which is how you spell sh toward the end of a multi-syllable word when there is a vowel after it, like an intersection. And that O is spelling the schwa sound and saying because. There's always a because. That is how you spell the sound toward the end of a multisyllable word when there's a consonant after it. But we're going to go all over that in O month. Right now we're in I month and we're learning amazing things about I. But that was just a sneak peek of what you're going to learn in O month. All right, next, please count how many sounds are in the word delivery. How many sounds in delivery? Counting the sounds in delivery. We're counting the sounds in delivery. All right, I'm getting 9s, 8s. Good job, Henry. I'm getting some 7s, some 6s for intersection. How many sounds in intersection? All right, we're delivery. How many sounds in delivery? So did you notice the beginning of intersection? I made you focus on those two first sounds, I and N, because our mind can easily lump those into one clump of sound. Same with the beginning of delivery. It's important that you separate those two sounds. D isn't the sound that D makes. D is just a movement of your tongue. It's just D, D. Nothing happens with your jaw. It doesn't drop. Your lips don't move. All the sound for D is just a little clip of your tongue off the top of your mouth. D, D. And then the E sound comes. So if we can separate those two sounds, then we can spell them. So we have D, E, L, I, V, E. 7. Again, do it with me. D, E, L, I, V, E. 7 sounds in delivery. Here's how those sounds are spelled. You'll see that that first E is making its long sound because of the tap 2 rule, right? There's another vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots. That I, we're going to learn, I believe on Wednesday, why that I is making its I sound. And it's a fun rule. You're going to want to make sure that you're in class for that because it affects the spelling of so many words that you're going to spell in your life. That ER is saying just like the ER above it in intersection. ER is a common spelling for the sound when it's in its own syllable like that. And then Y is spelling the E sound because when you hear E at the end of a longer word, you spell it with a Y. When you hear E at the end of a longer word is spelled with a Y, usually. All right, last one to count. How many sounds in festival? Please count how many sounds in festival. Festival. Now there's a schwa sound in there, so you want to make sure you get that schwa sound. Festival. Count the sounds in festival. Count the sounds in festival. Don't forget the schwa. It's subtle. There's a very subtle sound in festival. Okay, we're getting 6s, 7s, and 8s mostly in the Q&A. So let's figure it out. Now, did you notice at the beginning of intersection, I had you focus on those first two sounds to separate them, in. And at the beginning of the word delivery, I had you focus on those first two sounds, D, to separate them. The same is with the S sound in festival. We have to separate the two sounds in S so that we can spell them. We don't spell S with an S. So the sounds are F, E, S, T, I, V, A, O. So there's 8 sounds. Again, F, E, S, T, I, V, A, O. 8 sounds. Now here's how they're spelled. Look at that A. That is spelling that schwa sound at the end. That very subtle sound that's really hard to hear, but if you stretch out the word festival, you'll hear it. And that schwa sound toward the end like that is either spelled with an A or an O. Look up at the word intersection. You'll see that schwa sound again almost to the end. Intersection. Your jaw is dropping right there for that schwa sound. That one is spelled with an O. In festival, that schwa sound is spelled with an A. It's going to be either an A or an O to spell that sound. Okay, we're almost done with our warm-up. I want you to say the word rocket. Say the word rocket. Now, say the word rocket without the E. Say the word rocket without the E. Don't write anything down, nothing in writing, nothing in the Q&A. All in your mind, only sound work. Rocket without the E. It's not too easy, is it? It's a little difficult, isn't it? Rocket without the E. Okay, when you do that, we have R, K, E, T. 5 sounds in rocket. Here's the E. If you remove the E, you have rock, t, rocked. So it's rocket to rocked. How did you do on that one? Put a Y for yes, you got it, or an A for almost. Y or A. Nice, Ruby. Thank you for your honesty. I need that feedback because sometimes these are very difficult. Nice, Henry. Good, Karis. Good, Benson. That's okay. That's all right. Good, Sloan. Good, Nimat and Sheath. Beautiful, Melanie. Okay, that one was a hard one, wasn't it? Rocket to That was a hard one. Try this one. Say the word sir. Say sir. Now, say sir, but add a sound. Add an l right after the s. Say slur, but add an l right after the s. Sir, with the l after the s. So you have to force your tongue between your teeth right after that s sound. Okay, when you do that, sir, we have s, 2 sounds in sir. When you insert a ul right here, then you have 3 sounds. S, ul, slur. Sir to slur. How was that one? Y, yes, you got it, or A, almost? Nice, Jack. Good, Ruby. Good. I love the exclamation points. That's amazing. Good. Beautiful. Very, very good. Wow. Okay, that was a lot of Y's, a lot of yeses for that one. But if you got an almost, you're not alone. Oh, there's a lot of almosts in here also. And almost is almost. That is pretty good, right? Okay, last one. Last warm-up question. Say the word teacher. Teacher. Now say teacher, but change the ch to a z. Say teacher, but change the ch to a z. Okay, when you do that, teacher. So we have t-e-ch-er, 4 sounds in teacher. We're going to change that ch to a z. So now we have t-e-z-er, teaser. Teacher to teaser. Instead of putting a Y or an A, put an E, M, or H for easy, medium, or hard for that one. Or go ahead and tell me if you got it also. Put a Y or an A also. I want both answers. Y for yes, A for almost if you got that one. Okay, hard, easy, almost, hard, medium, hard, easy. Okay, so that one was kind of all over the place. We had a little bit of more difficult warm-up questions this time than usual, but you guys like a challenge, right? You like the more difficult ones, don't you? I thought it would be hard, but it was like a medium. Henry, that's amazing. That just means you're getting better at spelling, because the easier that these sounds are to hear and manipulate, the easier spelling will become, because you spell what you hear. So in order to spell confidently, you have to hear those sounds with confidence. And if If you're getting better at that, that means your spelling is getting better. That's amazing. All right, my friends, welcome back to Y month. No, I month. Y month is, I'm so excited for Y month. It's always my favorite every year. But that's not until I think June. But welcome back to I month. That's my second favorite month because I is also a favorite speller of mine. I has some fun facts to it that a lot of people just don't know. And it's a pretty much a pretty standard rule follower. I is going to follow phonetic patterns or phonics rules pretty consistently. So today we are learning how to spell I, the long I sound, at the end of short words. Did you know that we don't use I at the end of words in the English language? Hi is one exception. We do say hi, we do spell hi, H-I, but that's just because it's short for hello. But every other word with an I at the end, we borrowed from a different language. Like ski is from Scandinavian languages, sushi is Japanese, spaghetti is Italian. So there are some words that have an I at the end, but we got those from a different language. In English, when we're spelling English words, we don't spell the I sound with an I at the end. We spell it with a Y at the end. So when you're spelling, don't spell the I sound with an I if it's the very last sound. Use a Y. Are you ready to start practicing? Oh, here's a really important thing. So that rule, use a Y to spell the I sound at the end, comes at the end of most words, no matter how long they are. But for spelling, you're going to use a Y to spell the I sound no matter how long the word is. For reading, there's a little bit of a different lesson to learn, but I'll teach that over in the reading class. All right, let's get spelling. Let me share my screen. Let me share my screen so you can practice with me. Okay, our first word, do you have your pencils? Our first word to spell together is a hard one. It's a doozy. Get ready. The word is fi. Maybe not so hard. But you'll find that when you're spelling words that have an I sound at the end, they're usually going to be small, like why, try, fry, cry, shy, buy, my. Usually those words that end with an I sound are going to be small one-syllable words. So our word to spell together is fi. Fi. So our sounds are f, I. We're going to dot our vowel sound and spell our consonants. I. Now, our spelling hack for the day is when you hear I at the end of a word, spell it with an Y. When you hear I at the end of a word, spell it with a Y. When you hear I at the end of a word, spell it with a Y. So there's fi. Not too hard, huh? All right, your word that I want you to spell and put in the comments is Zai. How do you spell Zai then? How do you spell Zai? Put it in the comments. Can't wait to see it. Your birthday is coming up. Aw, happy almost birthday, Carrots. All right, so we're spelling Zai. That is a lot of correctly spelled words. So the very first sound is Z, like zebra or zipper. And if you hear I at the end of a word, spell it with a Y. If you hear I at the end of a word, spell it with a Y. Feel free to change your answer. You can change your answer if you want. Yeah, we'll have some hard ones too. Yes, exactly. So here is our consonant. We have that Z sound spelled with a Z. And then here's our I sound that we're spelling with a Y. There's Zai. Well done. Well done. Now you know that that is not how you spell it. That is how you spell it. And you'll also know how to spell any word that ends with an I sound. Look at all these words. My, buy, cry, shy, try. They end with a Y. Y is how you spell the, once in a while, you're going to have an IGH, spelling that I sound like we learned last week on Monday. But usually when I is the last sound, it's going to be spelled with a Y. And that's what we're going to be spelling all of our I sounds with today in this lesson. So you'll never have to wonder. Okay, this next word is my favorite word that I teach all year. This next word is my favorite word that I teach all year, in all the months, in all the weeks, in all the lessons, in all of the classes. This next word is my favorite word that I teach all year. Are you ready? The word is yai. Yai. How would you spell yai? So we have two sounds, y and I. Dot the vowel. Now, what letter says y? A Y, right? Like yes or yellow or yesterday. Now, what letter spells the I sound at the end of short words? A Y. Now look at the spelling of that word. Is that not the funnest spelling you have seen all in your whole life? You spell yai, YY. But those two Y's are spelling two different things. You now know the funnest spelling fact that you can go and impress all of your friends and maybe even your teachers with. You know how to spell yai. Y-Y. Isn't that so fun? What do you think of that? I love it. I know. Right? I'm with you. I love it too. All right, so this one I want you to spell without me. Spell the word sply. Sply. So we have S-P-L-I. The first three letters are a three-letter consonant blend. Sply. Spell sply and then put it in the Q&A for me, please. Sply. Very good. Excellent. Beautiful. Every single person is getting it correct. You are such amazing spellers. You didn't know how good you were at spelling, did you? Until somebody just taught you how to do it, right? You just need to know how to spell words, not how to memorize them, but how to actually spell them, huh? Our sply. So, Jack, you have one extra letter. I know you know which one is not needed. Take it out of there and put it back in the chat so I can see it. Because I know you know this one. It might have been even a typo. Okay, so sply. Our consonants are S, P, L, I. Now we know that when you hear I at the end of a word, spell it with a Y most of the time. When you hear I at the end of a word, spell it with a Y. So there's sply. Well done, beautiful. All right, now do you remember what we learned on Wednesday? Because I'm going to switch things up a little bit. If we only spelt one syllable words, this class is going to get a little too easy for you because you're so good at spelling now. So I'm going to introduce a little bit more complex words, some more difficult words now so that you can have a little bit of a challenge. So on last Wednesday's class, in last Wednesday's lesson, we learned that you spell the I sound with an IGH when it is in the middle of a short word that ends with a T. Spell the I sound with an IGH when it is in the middle of a short word that ends with a T. So, let's spell this word together. Our word is shrite. Shrite. It's a digraph blend at the beginning. Shrite. So now we see that it's a short word. It qualifies as a short word because there's only one vowel sound. And it ends with a T. Watch, here's our consonant sounds. We have sh, I, t. So it qualifies for that spelling. We're going to spell the we're going to spell the long I sound with an IGH in short words that end with a T. In short words that end with a T. You're going to spell it IGH. Now you're ready to spell your word without me. Spell the word prite for me. Prite. Spell prite. P-R-I-T. And then put it in the comments. How do you spell bright? Good. Bright. Excellent. Nice. Good, Allie. Nice. Ruby. Good, Karis. Beautiful, Henry, Allie, Benson. Hunter, I want you to focus on this right here. We spell the I sound with an IGH in the middle of short words that end with a T. Good, good, good. There we go. Nice. So our consonants are P, R, I, T. So now we see we have a short word, and that I sound is in the middle. The last sound is a T sound. So we're spelling that I sound with an IGH. There's bright. Well done. Okay, try this one. No hints from me. No hints from me. I want you to just remember what we've learned so far in this class, but if you have a question, ask it, okay? If you have a question, if you're unsure, ask it. Ask me in the Q&A. So here's your word. I want you to spell the word shry. Shry. Sh-r-I. How do you spell shry? There's a digraph blend there at the beginning. A digraph, two letters that make one sound with another consonant after it. Shry. Ooh, lovely spelling, my friends. Shry. Shry. Gorgeous. You remembered. You remember our spelling hack for the day. Yes. When you hear I at the end of a word, spell it with a Y. So first for our consonants, we have sh and r. Well done on getting that digraph blend, on knowing that sh is spelled with an SH right there. And then the I sound at the end of a word is spelled with a Y. There's shry. All right, let's do a little bit of a longer one. You guys are doing so good. Let's see if I can challenge you at all. Now, focusing on the tap 2 rule. So when you're spelling a long I sound, anywhere else in the word, like the beginning or the middle, it has to have another vowel, 1 or 2 doors down, right? We've been working on that all year. If you're brand new, you watched that module in the training, you know how to do that. If you're spelling a long vowel sound, there has to be another vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots. When you're spelling a short vowel sound, like an I, there has to be 2 consonants after it. If there's not 2, make 2 by doubling the next letter. Okay? Your word is, actually, let's do this one together. Spiffit. Spiffit. We have sp, I, t. Spiffit. Consonants. Sp, I, t. Vowels. I want this I to spell the I sound, but can it say I in that spot? No, not yet. Because I is a short vowel. Short vowels need 2 consonants after it. If there's not 2, make 2 by doubling the next letter. Now that I is nice and happy and it can say I in that spot. Here is another I sound, which is spelled with an I right here just fine because there's not a vowel there or there. We don't have to double the T if it's the last letter. Are you ready for your word? I am. I'm ready to watch your amazing spelling. Your word is timid. 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 T, I, t. How do you spell timid? Thank you, Karis. Timid. Benson, give me one more letter. Timid. Karis, in order to use an IGH spelling for the I sound, it has to be a short word with only 1 vowel sound in it. So this word doesn't qualify for that IGH. Try again. Give me another attempt. Timid. Very good, Allie. Hunter, give me one more letter. Nice, Ruby. Good, Henry. Nice, Imanshi. Good, Hunter. There you go. Nice, Renice. Yes, Benson, beautiful. Sloan, nice. Jack, one more letter. There we go, Karis. Nice. Okay, so for timid, our consonants are t, I, I, t. Vowels. I want this I to spell the I sound, but can it say I in that spot? No. because there's a vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots. That would say time it. I don't want it to say time it. I want it to say timid. So if I want to spell a short I sound, I need to double the M, because short vowels need 2 consonants after them. If there's not 2, make 2, right? And then our last I can be spelled with an I right there, just fine. Now look at how good you are at all of those rules that you just learned or remembered or just heard for the first time. You learned that. Let me stop sharing my screen. You learned that when we are spelling a word that ends with a long I sound, we don't spell it with an I. We spell it with a Y. If a word ends with a long I sound, we don't spell it with an I, we spell it with a Y. Usually that's going to come at the end of short words. We also remembered that IGH spells the I sound in the middle of short words that end with a T. And you were really good because I didn't give you any hints. You just applied what you learned from the beginning of this class to the end of it. That's how quickly you learn these spelling patterns. And now you're going to be able to apply that to the words that you spell in the real world. Every time you hear a word that ends with an I sound, you know you're not going to spell it with an I, you're going to spell it with a Y. Enjoy being amazing, my friends. It is a pleasure to teach you. I will see you on Wednesday. Bye, everybody. All right, so that was my youth spelling class. Now I am going to prepare, because in the next 30 seconds here, I'm going to have an adult spelling class. So I'm going to get ready for them real fast. Thank you for joining us as I teach. That's fun. It's lovely to have you. All right. They are already in class. They are ready to go. The adults that I teach are heroic to me. All right, so I'm about to let all of my adult spelling class members into class. I'm going to be focusing on them for the next 30 to 60 minutes. I have a spelling class next and then a reading class after that. And a lot of them are in both classes. So I'm going to be focusing on them, but I invite you to just be a fly on the wall and visit our lesson. All right, I'm going to let them in now. Hello, welcome to spelling class. It's so lovely to see you. I hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for joining our class today. Hello, Daryl, Francesco, Regan, Justin, Sheldon. It's so nice to see you. Hello, Joseph. And if you're brand new, welcome to you. A special welcome to you. And if you're watching the recording, hello. It's nice to have you too. I think about you, my students, my adult students, often with admiration and a lot of respect, because I'm like you. I'm busy, and when I'm not busy, I have things that I would like to do to relax or to wind down at the end of the day. You are coming to spelling class, and a lot of you are in both classes. You're dedicating 30 to 60 minutes of your day twice a week to improve your literacy skills. Do you know how inspiring that is to me? You are so inspiring to me. You are my heroes, honestly. All right, we are going to warm up our ears so that we can hear what we are spelling. I want you to count how many sounds are in the word intersection. How many sounds in the word intersection? And then put that in the chat, in the Q&A for me. How many sounds in intersection? How many sounds in intersection? All right, they're starting to come in now. We're counting the sounds in intersection if you're just joining us, to warm up our ears so that we can hear what we are spelling. In intersection, so be careful, we're not counting syllables, we're counting sounds within each syllable and then adding that up. Those are called phonemes. We're counting all of the phonemes. So in intersection, pay special attention to separating those first two sounds, because in can sound like one chunk of sound if we're not careful. But in needs to be separated so we can spell each phoneme. So we have I, N, T, R, S, E, K, Sh, N. There are 10 sounds in intersection. It looks like only 2 people were able to hear all 10 sounds. So let's do that one again. We have I, N, T, R, S, E, K, Sh, N. 10 sounds. If you didn't get all 10 the first time, put in the Q&A or in the chat what sound you missed. Intersection. Maybe that schwa sound at the end might have also been difficult to hear. Here is how you spell it. Inter is a prefix. Section is the base word. So we're putting a prefix at the beginning of a base word here. Inter means like a cross section or in between something. Prefixes and suffixes always have meaning, or they add additional meaning to the root word. That's why we have that ER spelling for the sound right there, because it's at the end of that prefix inter. And then in section, we have that TI spelling sh, which we're going to learn about this month in I month. And we have that O spelling the schwa sound, which is a common spelling for the schwa sound. O and A are going to be our schwa sound spellers when they're toward the end of a multi-syllable word like that with a consonant at the end. All right, let's try another one. How many sounds in delivery? How many sounds in delivery? Be careful. Make sure that you separate those sounds that can trick you into thinking that it's just one unit. Separate every time your tongue changes. Every time your mouth changes shape, the sound is going to change. Count each tiny little sound. We're counting the sounds in delivery. How many sounds in delivery? Well, happy birthday, Regan. I hope you have a lovely day today. I'm glad you joined us on your birthday. Thank you for inviting us to join you on your day. So we are counting the sounds in delivery. Okay, we're getting 7s and 8s mostly, so let's see which one it is. In delivery, we have D, E. Did you separate those two sounds? The letter D does not spell the sound D. The sound that D makes is made only with your tongue. Your lips don't move, your jaw doesn't drop. It's just your tongue touching the top of your mouth and then dropping. D, D, D. And then the E sound comes. D, E, O, I, V, E. Now my mouth, that's 7. My mouth changed with every single sound. D, there's that tongue movement. E, O, there's my tongue coming between my teeth. I, my jaw is barely open. V, top teeth over the bottom lip. Your mouth is puckered. E, your mouth is in a long wide grin. D, E, O, I, V, E. 7 sounds, 7 spellings. Here is how you spell those sounds. You'll see that the E is following the tap 2 rule. That I is following the confident rule that I haven't taught you yet, but I will this month. That might even be on Wednesday. I get to teach you about that I in the middle syllable there. ER is spelling the sound. This word is a base word with a suffix. That Y is actually a suffix. It comes at the end of deliver. And then the Y is spelling the E sound, which is exceptionally common for spelling the E sound at the end of longer words. All right, one more to count. How many sounds in festival? Now, be very careful about the S. The S sounds are not spelled with a simple S. So in order to know how to spell it, we have to hear every tiny sound, figure out when your mouth changes shape, when your tongue moves, then count the sounds in festival. 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 How many sounds in festival? Lots of 7s and 8s again. Festival. Okay, let's figure it out. We have top teeth over the bottom lip. It's the same mouth shape as the V, only the V it vibrates. It uses your vocal cords. The F is only blowing. So, your jaw is dropped. S, t, I, v. There's that same sound as the F, but it vibrates. The schwa sound. Was it the schwa sound that a lot of us missed? Because it was about half and half of 7 and 8 that you counted for that word. Yeah, that is a very subtle sound. It's hard to hear, but if you stretch out the word, you should be able to hear it a little better. Festival. It's right there. S, t, I, v, l. 8. Here's how those sounds are spelled. There you go. So that E is following the tattoo rule. That I is following the rule that I'm going to teach you the spelling pattern on, I think it's Wednesday, either Wednesday or next week. And there's an A spelling that schwa sound. Festival. You'll notice 2 words above that in intersection there. That O is spelling the schwa sound. Intersection, festival. The is the exact same sound spelled 2 different ways. One is with an O and one is with an A. We're going to learn more about how to know which one to use, which letter to use to spell that sound in A month and in O month. All right, 3 more warm-up questions. Say the word rocket. Rocket. Now, say the word rocket without the eh. Don't write anything down, only in your mind. Say the word rocket without the eh. Rocket without the eh. All right, when you do that, the sounds in rocket are a, k, e, t. A, k, e, t. When you take away the eh, all that's left is a, k, t. Rocked. Rocked, like you rocked your baby to sleep. Rocket without the eh is rocked. Put an E, M, or H if that was easy, medium, or hard. Rocket to rocked. Easy, hard, medium, easy. So in assortment, if it was easy, that's impressive because that's not a very easy manipulation, sound manipulation to figure out. Try this one. Say the word sir. Sir, 2 sounds. S-er. Now, add a sound. Add an ul after the s. So say sir and add an ul after the s. We're saying the word sir, but adding an ul after the s. All right, when you do that, s-er with an ul right here is s-ul-er. Sir to slur. How is that one? Easy, medium, or hard? E, M, or H? It's okay, Beverly. It's just lovely to have you. You have a life. You don't ever have to apologize for being late. All right, we have easy, medium, easier, medium, hard. That one was not as difficult as the first one. Okay, we have one more question, one more warm-up question. Let me know how this one is. Say the word teacher. Teacher. Now, say teacher without the ch. No. I don't want you to omit a sound. I want you to omit the sound, but then I also want you to add a sound. So change the ch to a z. So let me say that again. Say teacher, but change the ch to a z. Say teacher, but change the ch to a z. All right, so the sounds in teacher are t, e, ch, er. We have 4 sounds with 4 spellings. T, e, ch, er. When you change the ch to a z, the sounds are t, e, z, er. Teaser. Teacher to teaser. Easy, medium, or hard? E, M, or H? Okay, good to know. If those are getting easier for you, that is amazing, because that one was not easy either. And that's a lot of ease that I'm getting in the Q&A, which means that your phonemic awareness skills are improving. Congratulations, because the stronger your phonemic awareness skills are, the stronger speller you will be, because you can't spell what you can't hear. So we spend a lot of time in each class strengthening that skill, because spelling will be a guessing game unless each one of those sounds are isolated and mastered. Because what you're learning in this class is how to spell based on the spelling patterns that are in the English language, but the first step is to hear what those sounds are so that you know how to spell them. So, speaking of spelling, let's get spelling. Our spelling pattern for the day is spelling the I sound at the end. Spelling the I sound at the end of words. Did you know that we don't spell words with an I at the end in the English language? Did you know that? We don't spell the I sound with an I at the end of words in the English language, except hi. And there are a few exceptions, but they're very rare. Like hi is short for hello. If you see a word that ends with an I, it is probably not going to say I, first of all, but we would have borrowed it from a different language. Japanese, Scandinavian, Italian, Hawaiian. If you see an I at the end of a word, we borrowed that word from a different language for the most part. So when you hear an I sound at the end of a word, here's what you're going to do for spelling. Put a Y. When you hear an I at the end of a word, spell it with a Y. When you hear I at the end of a word, spell it with a Y. Usually, we're going to learn in the next reading class, you're going to find that spelling pattern at the end of short words. Sometimes Y will spell the long I sound at the end of longer words too. That is how you will spell it for this class. But when you're reading words and you're noticing that Y at the end, it's usually going to be at the end of short words. My, try, buy, fly, shy, cry. There's a lot of them. So usually when you see Y spelling the long I sound at the end of words, you're going to find it at the end of one syllable short words. So since that's our spelling lesson for the day, our spelling pattern for the day, our lesson is going to be a little on the easier side because we're going to have a lot of those short words so that we can practice applying this skill. So that's kind of fun, huh? Because a lot of times I have to preface our lessons by saying, this one might be a little tough. This lesson might be a little challenging today. So today might be a little on the lighter side, but you tell me what you think. Let me share my screen and we will get spelling. And in today's lesson, in the middle of it, we get to spell my favorite word that I have all year. My favorite word that I get to teach you to spell all year is in today's lesson. I'm so excited. Get ready. Don't go anywhere. Some of you who were here last year or the year before, you might remember what word that is. But first, let's just start off with phi. How would we spell phi? Top teeth going over the bottom lip for that first sound. So we have, our sounds are f, I. dotting our vowel sound. Our consonants are, there's that top teeth going over the bottom lip and blowing sound. Now our I sound at the end of a word is spelled with a Y. The I sound at the end of a word is spelled with a Y. Your word is Zai. Zai. How do you spell Zai? Put it in the Q&A. How do you spell Zai? I am good at the practices, but I missed the letter in words E. That's okay. That's why you're here. I'm going to help you with that. The letters in words. Why is that? It's probably because you're not hearing them very clearly. That's why we do that phonemic awareness exercise at the beginning of each class, so that you can get stronger at that. So we're spelling Zai. Good. So the first sound, Daryl, is a Z, like zebra or zipper. Zai, Zai. Very good. Beautiful spelling, everybody. You're right. There's two sounds. Our consonant is a Z, and we're spelling that I sound at the end of a word with a Y. The I sound at the end of a word is spelled with a Y. All right, here we are already. We have my favorite word that I teach all year. Drum roll. I feel like I need a drum roll sound effect. All right. Are you ready for this? The word is, do you like all the dramatic pauses? The word is yai. Yai. We're going to do this one together. So it has two sounds. We have y and I, right? It's two sounds. So what's the first sound? What says y? Y. A Y, right? Like yellow, yes, yesterday. Y says y when it's the first sound of a word. That's the only time Y is a consonant, if it's the first sound of if it's the first letter of a word or a syllable. So right here, that Y is going to say y. You know where I'm going with this, don't you? So that's, yes, that second sound, I, we know from today's lesson, is spelled with a Y. So look at that word, my friends. That is how you spell yai. Yai. Y is how you spell yai. It is funny looking. You're right. And let me spell it in cursive just to see what it looks like. That's just fun, my friends. Yai. That's a fun party trick right there. What do you think of that? Pretty fun, huh? Am I just the only one that gets excited about yai? That I look forward to it all year and I get all excited and had a drum roll for yai, right? It's pretty fun. I know. Okay, so your word is sply. Sply. How do you spell sply? S-p-l-I. Sply. How do you spell sply? It's so pretty in cursive. You do it better. I wasn't very. It is pretty in cursive, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, we're on sply now. I'm moving on. Sply. Nice, Rowan. Good, Beverly. Daryl, give me one more letter. The word is sply. That's a 3-letter consonant blend at the beginning. Sply. Very good, very good, very good. Nice. Joe, there's the last sound is I. Like in my, buy, try, cry, fly. Good, Daryl. Nice, everybody. Yeah. Feel free to put your corrected answer in the Q&A. Nothing is permanent. All right, so our consonants in sply are S, P, L, I. How do we spell the I sound at the end of words? With a Y. There's sply. All right, so you guys are getting this pretty rapidly. So I am going to just revisit what we learned on Monday, just to kind of add some variety to our words right now. And then we're going to just make it a touch more challenging. So on, let's see, this is Monday. So last Wednesday, we learned about IGH. IGH is used to spell the I sound in the middle of short words that end with a T. Sometimes it can come at the end of words like hi or sigh, but usually you're going to find the IGH spelling the I sound in the middle of short words that end with a T. Might, light, right, fight, flight. Usually an IGH will be in the middle of short words that end with a T. So our word together right now is shite. Shite. We have sh, I, t. 3 sounds in shite. Our consonants are sh and t. So now we can see that we have a vowel sound, that long I sound I, in the middle of a short word that ends with a T. So we use that IGH spelling. That is a most of the time rule. And what was I just going to say about that? Oh yeah. To know if a word qualifies for that IGH spelling, it's usually going to be in, when I say usually for this, I mean almost always, maybe always. I haven't seen an exception. That IGH is going to be in the middle of a short word. So how do you know if it's a short word? What qualifies a word as short? Only one vowel sound. That's what you can see with this dotted line right there. Okay, so your word is prite. Prite. P-R-I-T. Prite. How would you spell prite? Put it in the comments for me. Prite. Very good. Nice. Excellent. Rowan, I want you to focus on this right there. When you are spelling the I sound in the middle of short words that end with a T, use an IGH. Our word is prite. Nice, Rowan. Good, everyone. All right, so our consonants are P, R, and T. There we see our I sound in the middle of a short word that ends with a T. We're spelling it with an IGH. Brilliant. Nice. Now, for this next word, I'm not going to give you any hints. I'm going to just ask you to try to recall what you've learned so far in these words above and apply that knowledge to the word that I'm about to give you. However, feel free to ask a question. If you're unsure, ask me a question. Okay? It's important that we set ourselves up for success. It's important that your brain gets used to you knowing how to spell words. So to set yourself up for success, make sure that you clarify any questions instead of guessing. We're breaking the habit of guessing, all right? Your word is shh. Let me think if let me think if I want to change this. Yeah, I want to change it. Your word is thry. Thry. So my tongue is going between my teeth at the beginning and blowing. Thry. Thry. I. How would you spell thry based on what you've learned in this class so far? Thry. Gorgeous. So the first sound is made with my tongue going between my teeth and blowing, like think or thought. Thry. Thry. I'm getting a lot of what I think is an autocorrect. I think the automatic spell checker wants you to spell the word try, so feel free to just change your answer if you spelled try accidentally, because we're spelling thry. Thry. Yeah, good. All right, so thry, we have a digraph blend at the beginning. A digraph is 2 letters that makes one sound. So we have 2 letters on this first line. That's that. TH can make 2 sounds, but your mouth shape is the same for both of them. TH has a voiceless sound, where your tongue goes between your teeth and you blow only air, and a voiced sound, where your tongue goes between your teeth, but your vocal cords are used so it vibrates, like this or the. So in this one, it's voiceless. It's voiceless TH. Thry. Yeah, so our second consonant is that sound. So you see that digraph with a consonant after it? It's called a digraph blend. The digraph is, di is two, graph is a letter, two letters that make one sound. That's why there's two letters on one line, because our lines represent sounds, not letters. So we have I. Now here you're seeing that I sound at the end of a word. The I at the end of a word is spelled with a Y. The long I sound, the I sound at the end of a word is spelled with a Y. You all remembered that. Gorgeous, beautiful. There are a couple exceptions. There are going to be a few times in our language where that ending I sound is going to be spelled with an IGH, like hi or thigh or sigh. So you will see that, and you've learned about IGH. You know that it still says I. Sometimes it's in the middle, rarely it's at the end. Usually it'll be in the middle of short words. But when you're spelling, when you hear an I sound at the end of a word, spell it with a Y. All right, last one. Do we have time? I don't think we do. Okay, fast. Chai. How do you spell chai? Oh, I almost just spelled it for you. How do you spell chai? How do you spell chai? Yes, exactly. Ch, ch, ch at the beginning, like church or chip. We have chai. There's that digraph, and there's our spelling hack for the day with that long I sound at the end. So now you know that when you hear I at the end of a word, you're not going to spell it with an I. You're going to spell it with a Y. That goes for longer words as well. You will see longer words that end with a Y, where that Y is making the I sound, like satisfy or multiply. We're going to go more into that in our reading class here in just a few minutes, but for spelling, don't use an I to spell the I sound at the end, use a Y. All right, my friends, hopefully I'll see you right over into reading here in the next 30 seconds. Otherwise, thank you for coming. You're amazing, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Bye, everybody. All right, now I have to speed. I'm 2 seconds late for my reading class. Oh, that's not even the class I need. Yes, it is. All right, so I am focusing on, thank you for joining me. I am focusing on my class right now. So I just invite you to visit us while I teach these amazing adults. So this next class is my adult reading class. They come from all over the world. They wake up in the middle of the night sometimes. They go on their break at work just to come to spelling class, their reading class. They're amazing. I'm about to let them in here in just a couple seconds. Okay. All right, I'm a minute late to let them in, so I have to let them in. I'll be focusing on my class now, but thank you for visiting as I teach. Welcome to reading class, everybody. Thank you for being here. I hope you had a great weekend. And if you came right over from the spelling class, we are going to be continuing what we were learning just a few minutes ago. But if you're just joining us, don't worry, I'm going to start from the very beginning so that you'll get everything that you need. We're going to begin by warming up our ears. Would you please count? And this one might be a little tricky. I hesitated to even ask you to separate the sounds in this one because it's tricky. It's tricky for me. But let's try it. But don't hold yourself to a super perfection standard on this one because I haven't taught you exactly how to separate these sounds yet. But let's try it. I want you to separate the sounds in lightning and count it up. How many sounds in lightning? Lightning. We're counting the sounds in lightning. Lightning. How many sounds are there? Lightning. Ning. You're going to love what you're going to learn about the sounds in this word. Lightning. We're getting 5s and 6s mostly for how many sounds in lightning. Yes, exactly, MP. NG is one sound. Good. And some 5s are coming in. Okay. In lightning, we have L, I, T, N, E, ng. Now that last sound I haven't taught you yet. We're going to learn more about that sound this summer, but it's the same sound as the N, but your tongue is back farther. It's a nasal sound that's blocked. It's a nasal N sound blocked by your tongue. So for a regular N sound, your tongue goes to the top of your mouth, the roof of your mouth, and you just pronounce the N sound with your vocal cords, right? Just comes out the sides of your mouth. The sound comes out the sides of your mouth. But for the back of your tongue, the full back of it has to block the air. So it just comes out your nose. The sound comes out your nose. It's a nasal sound. So in lightning, we have L, I, T, N, E, and then that nasal NG. Who knew that? Okay, Lily, thank you. Yeah, did you know that about the NG? How to make that sound is the full back of your tongue is blocking off the air for that sound. This is what it looks like, how the spelling looks. So why is there an IGH? Because there's always a Y. Why is IGH spelling the I sound in that word? It's because it's in the middle of a short word that ends with a T. Even though lightning is a longer word, it is there's a base word, light, in it. And light is that short word that has a long I sound in the middle that ends with a T. That is the reading pattern that we learned last Wednesday. When you see that IGH, it's usually going to be in this kind of a word. And then it says I. And then you'll see that N versus that NG in that word. The N is made with the top, with the front of the tongue going to the roof of the mouth. The NG sound is made with the back of the tongue going to the back of the mouth and blocking the air, so the sound has to come out of your nose. Versus yeah? Okay, next. How many sounds in autumn? How many sounds in autumn? Autumn. How many sounds in autumn? Does this happen anywhere else in English around an N in the middle of a word? The N in the middle of lightning? Oh, why isn't it lightening? That E right there, that vowel sound, if it was lightening, that that additional vowel sound would make it a whole another syllable. So lightning is 2 syllables. Lightning. Lightening is a word, but it's a different word, and it's a 3-syllable word. Beautiful question. All right, we're counting the sounds in autumn. So in autumn, we have a very deep jaw-dropping ah, 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 t, 4 sounds. It's spelled like this. This AU is comparable to a short O sound, ah, but it's deeper. Your jaw is dropped even more. Ah, ah. That sound right there is spelled with a U. It's also the same sound for a schwa. And then look at that MN at the end. That is a silent letter pair. We have a lot of silent letter pairs in our language, like GH. A silent letter pair is 2 letters where only one is being pronounced. So in autumn, you're only hearing the M, not the N. In ghost, that silent letter pair, GH, you're only hearing the G, not the H. In psalm, you're only hearing the S, not the P. In, what's another silent letter pair? There's a whole bunch of them. Oh, here's a common one. In no or knife, you're only hearing the N, not the K. Those are silent letter pairs. We got those words from Old English spelling patterns, and they just sort of have continued to carry on, and that's what's happening there. It's a silent letter pair. All right, one more to count. Lavender. How many sounds in lavender? How many sounds in lavender? Yeah, it's barely scroll up and you'll see it right there in the chat. Lightning is there for you. Lavender. Make sure you separate the E from the N. N is two sounds. Der. Getting a lot of 7s and some 6s and some 8s. Let's see what it is. In lavender, we have L, A, V, E, N, D, 7. If you got 6, it is possible that that E and the N got combined. We have to learn how to hear those separately so that we can spell them separately and so that those two sounds have a job when we read them in a word. So again, we have L, A, V, E, N, D, I said that D sound pretty lazily. D is just your tongue moving. 7 sounds. Here's how they are spelled. I wish I had 2 V's in it, but everything else spells exactly what you would expect. Okay, moving on. Say the word spider. Spider. Say spider. Now say spider without the P. Say spider without the P. So don't let your lips form that sound. Okay, so spider, the sounds are S, P, I, D, 5 sounds. Without the P, we have cider, cider. Spider to cider. How did you do on that? Yes or almost? Y or A? Oh, gotcha, James, yeah. Y or A for spider to cider? Yes or almost? Okay. I bet you got closer than you think. Beverly and Dorsey, I bet you got closer than you think. But that's why we do this. We have to keep practicing these phonemic awareness exercises so that they become easier and easier, so that reading becomes easier and easier. They go hand in hand. Reading won't become easier until these phonemic awareness skills are strengthened. So that's why we exercise this skill every single class. Say the word, 2 more questions. Say the word blow. This one might be a little challenging too. Say the word blow. How many sounds is that? 3. There's 3 sounds in blow. Now we're going to add a 4th sound. I want you to say the word blow with an E after the B. Say blow with an E after the B. Okay, when you do that, we have B, L, O first, right? Now we're going to add an E right here. Then the sounds are B, E, L, O. Bellow. Blow to bellow. It changes from a 1-syllable word to a 2-syllable word. Blow to bellow. How is that one? Put a E, M, or H for easy, medium, or hard for that one. Easy, hard, hard, hard. Medium, medium, medium. Too easy, really, Katie. That just means that you're getting really good at these. Easy, medium, hard. All right. Last one, I think. Yes. Last warm-up question. Say the word pillow. Pillow. Now, say pillow, but change the O to a Z. Say say pillow, but change the O to a Z. Okay, so we're removing the O sound, we're adding a Z in its place. So pillow changes to pills. Pillow to pills. How is that one? Easy, medium, or hard? E, M, or H? Okay, yeah. Lots of hards on that one. Pillow to pills. If you separate the sounds in pillow, there's 4 sounds. P, I, L, O. P, I, L, O. Changing this to a Z, now we have P, I, L, Z. Pills. Pills. Yeah. It might have been difficult because your subconscious wanted to attach spelling, the letters to it, but you were getting really good at ignoring the spelling of the words and only working on the sound work in your mind. Oh, gotcha, Beverly. Yeah, I can see. Double hard, Justin. Really? Yeah, I actually picked some kind of hard ones today because our lesson's going to be a little bit on the easy side. So the things that we're learning today are a little on the easier side. So a lot of times our lessons, I have to preface them by saying, okay, you guys, lock in. It's going to be a bit of a challenge on what we're learning and applying today, but not today. Today is going to be not easy. It's never easy, but a little bit more on the simple side of the scale of things. So we're in I month, and we've learned a little bit about how I is spelled in words so that we know how to read the I sound. We've learned that when you see an I with another vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots, that first I is probably going to say its name. There is an exception to that, which I'm going to teach you either on Wednesday or next week. You've also learned that when you see an I with 2 consonants after it, that I is going to say I. And you've learned how to properly pronounce that I sound with your jaw hardly dropped at all, your teeth barely open, and your lips in a wide grin. I, I. It's important that we pronounce that sound with clarity and with precision so it doesn't get confused with the eh sound. If you don't pronounce the I sound with that long, wide grin shape, then it can begin to be muddled with the eh sound. And I and eh are the bane of confusion in a lot of words that we go to read and spell and even pronounce. It's hard for us to even say words correctly if we're not sure if that sound is an I or an eh. So it all comes down to the mouth shape. So we're focusing on that long, wide grin for the I sound. And when you're reading it, you'll know that it says I if the next 2 letters are consonants or if it's a consonant and then the end of the word. And then you have learned that an IGH is spelling the long I sound. Today, you're also going to learn another letter that spells the I sound, and that is Y. Y will spell the I sound at the end of short words, and it will spell the long I sound at the end. It'll actually, well, let me start here. It will spell the long I sound at the end of short words always. And at the end of, don't you love those always? We need those in English, right? Because they're so rare. But I will say, excuse me, the Y letter will spell the I sound, the long I sound at the end of short words always. It'll always say I when it's the last letter of short words. Short words meaning it's the last, it's the only vowel. That I sound is the only vowel in the word. It'll also say, Y will also make the long I sound at the end of some multisyllable words, but that is much more rare than common. Today we're going to focus on that Y sound, spelling the long I, the Y letter spelling the long I sound at the end of short words. Here's a whole bunch of real world examples of that. Try, Y, cry, fry, fly, shy, my. That's what I mean by short words where that Y is the only vowel and is the last letter. Y is a vowel if it's not the first letter. Y is a vowel if it's not the first letter. All right. Should we get practicing? So let me share my screen. Where'd it go? Oh, I'm going to stop sharing for a second because I think I might have stopped sharing my screen. So let me fix that. Okay, there we go. So I have added, you're going to see here in just a second, that I have added some words to this lesson because I know that you guys like a challenge. And like I said, this lesson isn't the most challenging lesson that you're going to have all year. So I added some slightly more difficult words so that you can have that little bit of a challenge. But let's begin with, let me scoot this over. There we go. Okay. Let's begin with number 1. So we know that this Y is going to make the long I sound because it's at the end of a one-syllable word. So our sounds are T, I, tie. Now you might know the real word tie, like you're going to tie your shoe or put on a tie. That I also follows the tap 2 rule. That I is making its long I sound because there's another vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots. 2 different ways to spell it. All right, to spell that sound at the end. Try yours over here. What would this word say? Exactly. So we know that this Y is going to say I because it's at the end of a one-syllable word. Our sounds are N, I, nigh, nigh. The real world nigh is spelled with that IGH that we learned about on Wednesday. Once in a while, you will see that IGH spelling for the I sound at the end of short words like thigh or shy. No, sigh, sorry, not shy, sigh. Or nigh. Usually it's going to be spelled with just a plain old Y. So what would I know that you guys are going to be flying through these words, so I want you to skip down to this one. Number 3. What would that word say? Let's do it together. So this is a digraph blend. This TH is going to be making one sound, then it has a consonant after it. So that digraph blend needs to be, every sound in there needs to be pronounced. And then this I right here, this Y, is making the long I sound because that's what Y makes at the end of short words. So our sounds are I. Thry. Make sure you get that R in there. Thry. Thry. Okay? Try this one on your own over here. There's another digraph blend right here. Make sure you grab that R sound. Yeah. So if we're grabbing that R sound, it's going to be different than the word shy, right? We're going to put that R right in the middle. We know that this Y is going to be spelling the long I sound. So our sounds are sh, I. Shry. It's hard to wrap your tongue around, but you can force it. Force that R sound after the SH. Shry. Shry. Let's do one more of these more simple. They're not easy, but they're slightly more simple than all these others that I gave for you guys in it. Try this one right here. Your number 4. There's a 3-letter consonant blend here at the beginning. Make sure that your mouth forms around that L sound when you read it. You will read it correctly if your mouth is formed correctly for each letter that you see or each grapheme. So for that L, make sure that your tongue goes between your teeth right there after the P. All right, so our Y, we see is at the end of a short word, so it's going to say I. So our three-letter consonant blend there, we have S, P, L, and then I. Grabbing that L sound, we have sply, sply. Now, would you like to try these over here? How are you feeling on those so far? Give me one word to describe in the comments. How are you feeling about what we've done so far? Am I okay to go to the more challenging ones? Okay, good. Great, confident, yes, great, yeah, good, beautiful. All right, perfect. All right, let's go to number 5. Let's do this one together. So I know that this first I here is going to make the long I sound because of the tap 2 rule. There's another vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots, so it's going to say I. This I is going to make a different sound. It's short sound because of the tap 2 rule. There's not a vowel in the next 1 or 2 spots, so it's not going to say its name. It's going to say its regular short sound, I. Same with this I. There is not a vowel there or there, so it will say I. So our sounds are P, I, T, I, S, P, I, T. Try blending that one on your own. Don't let an R sneak in right here after the P. Control your mouth shape from the P to the I. The R is right here, but it might be tempting to come out after that second P. Okay, so let me clear this up a little bit. So if I do successive blending, we have P, per, pry, prite, prite, pritis, pritisp, pritispe. Make sure that your mouth is in that long, wide grin shape that I talked to you about at the beginning of class. Pritispit, pritispit, pritispit. Give me a Y or an A for yes, you got that, or nice, Joe, or A almost. Y for yes, you got that, or A almost. That's a lot of Y's. That makes me so happy and excited for you. Wow, well done. Holy smokes, that's a lot of Y's. If you have an A, don't worry, you are not alone. There's several A's also, but almost is still pretty darn good in my book. Let's try, oh, I erased it. Let's not try that one. Let me just fix that. Actually, I want to fix that too. I'm going to keep that word there for next time. Try number 6. Try number 6 without me. Now make sure that you get that P and the S in the right spot. Make sure that you get that P and the S in the right order. Kind of tricky, huh, with that PS right there. You can divide it right here if you want. And this would be, that would be where the syllables are divided. So if we read this word according to the syllable division rules that I have for you in the modules that we're going to actually study this summer, then we know that this first I is going to say I. These two I's are going to say I because of the tap 2 rule, right? So that first syllable is I. The second syllable is L, I, P, lip. Putting those first 2 syllables together, we have eye lip. Putting eye lip on the shelf, starting with that third syllable, we have S, I, M, sim. Blending all 3 syllables, we have eye lip sim. Making sure that that P is before the S. Eye lip sim. Eye lip sim. How'd you do? Y or A? Yes or almost for that one? For eye lip sim. Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Nice. All right. I think we have time for one more. Let's do number 8. Right here. Try number 8 without me. I'm not even going to mark it. I want you to mark it on your own. I have a feeling you got it. So these two I's are both going to make their short sound, aren't they? This one's going to say I because of those two L's. This one's going to say I because of those two consonants after it. So our sounds are S, I, ul, I, s, t. Smillest, smillest. Make sure that your mouth is long and wide. I, smillest, smillest. Y or A, yes or almost? Question, can E say I like in Elias? Elias. In that word, that E is making the E sound, but maybe you have a different word example that you can give me for that question, because I want to answer it. All right, beautiful. So a lot of people had a little trouble with this one. Were you thinking that it was smilest because your brain wanted to recognize the word smile in there somewhere? It would say smilest if there was only one L. Then that I could not say I, and it would have to say I. If there was only one L, it would say smilest. But when you have two, then that I has to say I, and it would say smillest, smillest. Now I promised you an easier lesson, but how was it? Was it actually a little simple, more simple than most of our lessons, or was it just as challenging? What do you think? Oh, I almost confused it with smallest. Gotcha. Not super easy. Just right. Okay, good. Good, good. Yeah, so today you learned that when you see a Y at the end of a small word, one syllable word, that Y is always going to say I. My, try, cry, fly, shy. When you see Y at the end of a small word, it's going to be pronounced as I. That's one of those blessed always rules. It'll also say I sometimes at the end of multi-syllable words, but always at the end of short words. All right, my friends, that was fun. It's always fun teaching you. Yeah, I love it too, Daryl. Yeah. All right, my friends, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your night. You're amazing for being here. I hope that you have felt that that was time well spent. That knowledge is now yours to keep, to apply to words in the real world forever. Congratulations on your new knowledge. We'll see you on Wednesday. Bye, everybody. All right. Hello, TikTok, and hello, YouTube. Thank you for joining me. I have just a minute here to answer any questions that you might have. If you have any questions for me before I sign off, which of your products will help? Which video should I watch so I can start how to read? I'm an adult. I would join the class, the live class that I was just teaching, because who was that? Because you could join it at any time during the year. You're never late, because as you saw in today's lesson, I taught something new. So I do the lesson I do all of the lessons in a year loop. So you just start where you are when you come in, you learn right along with us, and then you learn the rest when you wrap around the lessons at the beginning of the year. You'll get all those lessons that you might have missed. Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't understand what this is. Oh, you were watching me? Yes, you were watching me teach my live classes. And let me see over here on TikTok. Any questions? How do you join the live class? So it's all in the bio for you. The book has the real words that are, so I teach how words are spelled so that we can read and spell with confidence without guessing, right? So in the workbook right here, we are working with real words. In the class that I teach, especially with my adults that you just saw, we are working with nonsense words so that they don't rely on previous memory of words that they have learned to read previously. I'm teaching them how to read so that they can read any word, whether they have seen it before or not. That's why we do nonsense words in my classes, because most of my students can read. They just don't know how they can read. They don't understand how words work. They've just kind of survived. They just kind of figure it out based on their intelligence, what words say. So I teach them why words are spelled the way they are so that they can apply that knowledge to real world words. How can I learn to sound out letters? Either the workbook or the live class, I will teach you exactly what each letter will say based on the shape of your mouth. It's really important that you get the shape of your mouth perfect when you're pronouncing sounds so that the words will be pronounced correctly. How often are your classes? I need this for my 10-year-old. So I teach live twice a week. All of my classes are twice a week. I have 1 youth class and 2 adult classes. My youth class, and I'm talking to TikTok here and to YouTube here, so if I'm looking back and forth, I want to get both audiences. I have 1 youth spelling class and 2 adult classes. I have a spelling class and a reading class for adults. I can't scroll back super far because I've been live for quite a long time. How do you get the book you have? How do you get the book? Do you have to buy it? So this book right here, yes, this book is for sale and it is linked right there for you at the tag at the bottom, both in YouTube and in TikTok. Yeah, so feel free to send me a DM if you have any questions about reading or spelling or dyslexia. I am here to help. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now, but it has been a pleasure having you join us as I teach my classes. Bye, everybody.